Hi, Jaime.
Hello, Fidan.
How are you?
I'm good. What about you?
I'm good. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
for inviting us to your studio and doing this interview. Before you leave New York, I'm very lucky we catch you. I wanted you to start basically giving us information about yourself. Who are you? Where are you coming from? What's your creative medium?
I was born in Spain, in Madrid. I lived mostly all my life there. I moved to France to study. I also lived in America before. I will say that my background is not very artistic, but I've been painting all my life. So basically, when I paint, I try to kind of like express what I cannot put into words. So I've been doing this mostly all my life, you know. At the moment, I am full-time painter. Personally, I think it's going to be the path that I will choose for the rest of my life. But as my artistic background, I will say, well, my grandfather, he was a very important painter. It really gave me, you know, like the knowledge to understand, you know, how to mix colors, how to, you know, like use light, the basics to kind of like do my own journey.
How do you know when a work wants to begin?
Okay, so usually I carry with me my notebook and I'm always, you know, like sketching. I go in the street, I see something that inspires me and, you know, like I have to do a sketch, then I pass it to watercolor and then to oil. So definitely I will say that an artwork starts when my minds tell me that it should start. But if I may say also, when I am also thinking about an artwork, is the moment when I am actually like creating that artwork. So it can evolve. So, I mean, sometimes it can be done in one day and it can be done in 6 months.
Do ideas arrive visually, emotionally, or physically for you?
Three of, like one of each, I would say. Like visually, I see a lot of information that really inspires me. Physically, you know, like all my senses, they take me to stages where I would say like inspire me too. Also, you know, like I'm very inspired by reading. I read a lot. And I would say that reading is really a great tool to get inspiration. For example, one of these paintings, this one actually, it came from a bullfight that I went, you know, like in Madrid. For a few days, I've been going to bullfights. It really inspires me. But also, it was really, you know, like pushed the idea of building something like this due to a book of Ernest Hemingway. And actually, you know, like reading supports a lot, you know, my creativity.
Do you paint daily?
Daily. If I don't pay, I'm not happy.
What's your daily routine? Like, is there any ritual you start doing before painting or in general? Walk us through from the beginning till you finish your painting session.
Artwork is a different journey, so it depends. But I am very strict about a few things. So I wake up, take my morning coffee, you know, I answer my mails, I do, you know, like all the work, I would say. I try to be free by lunchtime. I'm not a very morning creator. I'm more, you know, like afternoon, I would say. After I, you know, eat, I take, you know, like some chill time. Then, you know, like I start to look into my artworks or look into my sketches, start to read a little bit, start to paint. And by, I would say 5 o'clock is when I really start, you know, like the rock and roll. When I start to build, you know, like the creative path, I would say.
Around 5.
Around 5 o'clock, yeah.
Okay.
Now, you know, like, well, my wife and I, we have a life. So sometimes I adapt myself to other schedules. But basically what I mostly do is try to be a little bit rigid into creativity. But it doesn't matter if it is, you know, after 5 or after 4, but definitely afternoon, I work better.
Is there any things that you think, oh, if this is not with me, I can't start painting? Do you listen to music? Or is there anything that you should write?
I didn't mention it, but it's very important for me to walk, to do, you know, like some sort of exercise. I like to, you know, like go catch ideas, go to the park. Here, for example, in Fort Greene, it's a wonderful place to think, you know. You can walk, you can see people, you can see animals. It really, you know, like gives you a little bit of oxygen. So walking really helps. If I don't walk, I think maybe I cannot paint because I need to also like be alive or feel alive or, you know, like maximize my experience as a human by living to paint, to create. So exploring, I would say even.
Nice. How much of your process is intuitive? Do you think when you paint, you you basically use your emotions to paint, or is it like just logical that this is what I see in my vision, I need to create this?
I consider myself more expressionist. So there's a lot of intuition in expressionism. So I don't capture the moment as it is. I capture how it feels, you know? For me, that is one of the keys of my paintings. I will say also that because I didn't go to an art school, I am not a very rigid person into a style. So my stroke, my, I don't know, technique, it can vary. Actually, you know, like if you see my first painting on a canvas and you see my last one, I mean, I've been in 70 different styles if you want to put a tag on it. But it's just that, like, I am very free. I feel very, you know, like not judged by nobody because I paint for me. Also, I think, you know, like I can capture ideas that are valuable for people. But if I have to be fully, let's say, clear, I will say that when I paint, I try to capture, you know, like what I feel. So it really takes me to a stage where I am very intuitive.
So you paint in different styles, and you mentioned that not having art background is actually good for you because you're free, you are not putting yourself into limits. Do you think you will find your style, or do you think this is your style actually not having a style?
This is my style. My style is being Jaime Carmona. And I mean, you can see, you know, like a lot of different painters. For example, Philip Gaston is one of my recent biggest influences. I love how he paints, how he, out of something that is like very, you know, like normal.
Yes.
He, with textures, with strokes, with, you know, like his style, he really, you know, like takes you to a place where you can really feel something. It's definitely Gaston. Like, if you go, for example, I've been recently in Paris in the Picasso Museum, and you can see that in there is an exhibition of Philip Gaston too. Well, if you see the paintings after the war of Philip Gaston, I mean, you say, wow, it's incredible, but it's Philip Gaston. If you see, I don't know, 50 years after, still being. So I will say the same with me. I will say that I'm a painter that evolves, that I'm always me. And because I am not, you know, like, let's say, I don't copy, I'm unique. So I think I found my style long time ago, but it will definitely evolve into something else.
Did you see Gaston's exhibition at Hauser? What do you think about it?
It expires the 10th.
Yes.
I want to go. I wanted to go today, actually.
Yeah, you should see one more time.
Thank you, because thanks to your post, I knew that it was available to go.
It was very interesting for me because there were, as you mentioned, a lot of colors, a lot of conversation, and I think my favorite was the drawings and the text on it. One was like, it's 3 a.m. Musa, you are so weird. Musa is his wife. Was his wife.
I need to go.
Do you listen to your work while making it? Does it tell you what it needs? For example, actually, I would change my question in this way. Let's say you started a painting with one vision. While you're painting it, do you change it?
Totally.
Or do you try to stick with the original idea?
I always change my idea. Even I do a painting. If I don't like that painting, I have, you know, like a need that I need actually to, in that, you know, like surface, do something that really pleases me. So I've done multiple, you know, artworks in my life. And in these artworks, you know, maybe you can find 3 different artworks before. So it's a layer after layer after layer. So it's definitely a conversation. I think you couldn't even have mentioned it better. It's literally speaking with the canvas. It really tells you when it's done or when it's almost on, when it's in the way, the color. It's a conversation. I think, yeah, it's the best word to speak about that.
Has it ever happened to you that you start painting and the conversation stops? You
Totally.
just look at your canvas, you're like, this can't go any further.
Yes.
But do you go back to that painting or do you just stop?
I started something on the side, which is not very common on me. I am very, you know, like very persistent with the same thing until it's done. I'll be honest also, if I don't get conversation, it's because I'm not inspired at that moment. So I need to find inspiration. So I go walk, I read, I listen to music, mostly explore. Going outdoors is what I will do, or going to museums to really, like, you know, like my favorite painters, you know, Goya, Velázquez, El Greco, they're in New York, they're in Madrid, they're in Paris, they're all over the world, in the best museums in the world, you know. So I can always, you know, like go to visit them and explore and discover some others. When the conversation doesn't start or it stops, I go to find inspiration. Or even, like sometimes there's one glass of wine that could help. There is ways to find inspiration. So this painting is called La Corrida. A corrida is a bullfight, okay, in Spanish. Actually, I came up with the idea of doing a bull ring. So the first idea that I had is, okay, I'm going to inspire myself by going to the bull ring, to see bullfights in real person. So I went to Madrid and I got inspired by the bull ring of Madrid. Actually, I wanted to come along with the idea of doing a real bull ring. So a ring that could be a bull. So if you see this from far, you could see that it's a bull-shaped ring. I tried to capture, like all the people, that get into a bull ring for seeing a bullfight. When you go to a bullfight, people should know that you can see the rich, the poor, the left side, the right side, everybody sitting together, sharing a moment. And what made me very, very, attracted about bullfighting was not only, like the phenomenon, was also that it was a moment or a performance that don't leave anybody indifferent. So you either love it or you hate it. It means that it's something very powerful, I wanted to, include in the crowd different people, even like, for example, my favorite painter will be inspired in this character, which is Ernest Hemingway. You can see the people, going, with their kids. You can see, people filming. You can see a lot of stuff, that are very, let's say, easy to find. So there's a lot of contrast and a lot of variety of people. There is also the people that don't support the bullfight. So I wanted to create something very, truth. So I didn't want to include a bull. I wanted to include the soul of the bull. So this is the soul of the bull. And this is a bullfighter, As you can see, there is also bulls going to the bull ring, This is how I imagine a bullfight should be. Also the bulls, living near the humans. And, one support one support another. But in the reality, actually, what happens is that everybody is against the bullfighter. Because if he doesn't do a good job, the animal is going to suffer. Sometimes, working through these ideas and finding, these elements about the reality made me, reflect it in this way. So yeah, this is La Corrida, and it's the first painting that represents the reality.
What helps you to enter a creative flow when you're blocked? Or in general, what inspires you?
Okay, so it inspires me a lot to read, to walk, to explore. And if I am not inspired by this, definitely I start to sketch and to do things, very, randomly.
Like
to,
doodling?
Retry things that I painted before. Do things that maybe are, I don't know, in the bucket list.
Oh, you have a bucket list.
I have a bucket list. I don't have it with me right now, there, but I have my notebook always. My notebook is like my watch. Sometimes I, mix. Or I go reading outdoors, or I go sketching outdoors, or I go, I don't know, to a museum to sketch. I mix these things, I do a cocktail, and sometimes I find inspiration. And if not, maybe, a glass of wine, some things.
This is a repeating pattern, glass of wine.
Yeah, I'm not a big drinker, but wine, it's a passion. It's something that I love, So when you are, taking something that is, well, in my country is culture, wine is such a culture. It really inspires. And food too can inspire because, in the most traditional dishes, you can really find, inspiration. I will say that even being alive, it's actually, the biggest unlocker.
So you enjoy life. Mostly you get your ideas from life or observing people or observing emotions. Do you think where the ideas come from mostly?
I like that because you just mentioned people actually. Yeah, I'm very inspired by people. I paint people. I don't paint landscapes. No. I painted a few, but I paint people because I really find, the soul of the place is in the people.
Yeah.
Even if there is one person, or even if it is not a person, it can be an animal. It can be a bull. It can be a dog. It can be, I don't know, a giraffe.
Yeah, true.
So I paint, souls.
Lately, I've been thinking about painters who paint landscapes mostly, and I am coming to the resolution that those are the people who are totally okay with being alone.
Everybody, like that is a creative, gets to a point when he don't have maybe, like the appetite of creating the same as he was creating, and
Yeah.
he transitions into something else. Van Gogh.
Yes, true.
Van Gogh is that.
Yeah,
He painted landscape, and his landscapes are amazing.
exactly.
But it's not because it's a landscape, it's because it's Van Gogh's landscape. Or Paul Signac.
Ah, yes.
My favorite, probably, like impressionist. Well, it's the same. He painted people, he painted everything. But landscapes,
Yes,
amazing.
his landscapes are perfect. It's one of like a dreamiest experience standing in front of Signac's painting and just watching. How does your studio space affect the way you work? This is one of my favorite questions because I compare people to sharks, because sharks don't grow much if they are in an aquarium, but they grow so much in an ocean. And I truly believe place, sunlight, affects people's moods, the way they work, and the scale they work as well. What do you think about this?
Me, I'm more, like a sponge of the places where I live. So
Okay.
I adapt myself to paint anywhere I am. I lived in Paris, I lived in Madrid, I lived in New York, in Ohio, in, I don't know, in many places, in Marseille. Sometimes you can get a studio or you adapt your place to be your studio. Now that I'm transitioning from New York to Europe, I am in that path, I'm painting, but I don't have, like a place where I will stay long time right now. So this place you see here is actually, like a transition. If I may add also something about being a shark, I think what makes me grow is actually what I eat, what I experience, what I envision, what I read. So yeah, I would say that I'm like a sponge, and like if I have to paint, well, I even like do like the impressionists.
Yeah.
I have a portable easel, and I go with it. I display it, and I go to the park. I go to, I don't know, whatever, and I go with it. I like the exploration, in the creative process. I don't like to be all the time in the studio.
Yeah.
I think a lot of artists also find a lot of excuses. It's like, no, I don't paint because I don't have the place to. I'm sorry, but if you have the need to create it, you'll do it.
Your favorite places in New York and the places gives you inspiration in New York. I want to talk about that.
New York is definitely the place that has shocked me more in terms of people. Because I find, like a variety of people that is massive. In the winter, I was very, very attracted about painting people living in the street, so homeless people.
Yeah.
I found that when you don't have nothing, they are their own shelter. Their body is their own shelter. So I found that very, very strong as an idea. Later, I really like, like to capture the community of, well, the New Yorkers. Because it's a community that is huge, that, like it's all over the place. I speak Spanish, and I love, like, they even like have, like the way of socializing that really looks like, to little village. So I like that. I like, like this, like kind of like cultural, like moments. Also, I painted, like African American community. I like contrasts a lot. So I painted, like contrast between the rich, because here you can find the richest, and the poorest.
Yeah.
So that contrast, like interests me a lot. So, well, as you can see, like I'm always painting people. So in New York, it doesn't matter where, I really find inspiration. Like, I think, like because it's, like a place where, like people from all over the world meet, they get here. And everybody in this city wants to be rich. They kind of like share the same idea.
Yeah, this is the most ambitious people come together.
Exactly. So it's very ambitious city. You couldn't have said it better.
New York is, melting pot.
We are here.
Yeah, we are here as well. Exactly. We are here as well, and we're also trying to get somewhere, reach some point. And in that process, we share this experience. Like, I want to know what's your creative mind is, what's going on in your mind, what are you creating? And you want to know, like, how do I approach your creativity? a couple days ago, I was reading this Instagram post. Madonna and Basquiat was dating, and they weren't popular. They were nothing about popularity at that point. And then you look at it, it's like, wow. The thing is, they weren't aware what's going to happen with their life. They weren't aware that one will become the most popular artist and die very young. The other one will create basically the queen of pop music. This is like, makes me think that what am I witnessing right now? Who's around me will become the next person, the next
Totally.
popular person. Because right now we are young, but in 40 years and 50 years, we will look at it as like, wow, I knew from the beginning this person will become popular or they will become successful. So it is exciting journey to look people around me. And I think this is one of the reasons that I started this channel, because I wanted to see how we are evolving, where we are going. Maybe some people will quit painting and maybe some people will grow actually in painting.
Totally. And most of the biggest creatives in history, modern history, they had a period in New York.
Oh yes, that's
My
true.
biggest inspiration in life is Paco de Lucia. Okay, Paco de Lucia is the best, most amazing, let's say, guitarist player, okay, but flamenco player. Okay, Paco de Lucia started his journey, like in America. Federico García Lorca, which is a very important poet from my country, had a period here. All the big ones, they had a period in New York. So really, you are, like in the perfect place to kind of like capture the people that it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
What do you think, what New York period added to your life, your personal life, and also like your creative life?
Give you a bit of background. I arrived in New York with my wife, and we were working in the UN. Now I don't work in the UN. I'm a full-time painter. So imagine how much it changed me.
How long you were in New York?
For 2 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a big change in 2 years.
Yes. New York is a city that gives you, like let's say like a combination of things that make you realize that maybe the life that you were thinking about having, maybe is not the one that you should seek. So here, like I got really, like the strength to say, okay, I'm gonna paint. I'm gonna do what I want. I studied, I have my, like my degree, my master's, my work, out. I'm going to do what I really, really want to do. So in that way, it changed me New York. It made me awake.
Is there a certain point you remember that this was the moment I make the decision that I will paint?
Yes, it was in October of last year. And literally, it was the moment that I was very burned out. Like I was like, I didn't like to wake up, going to, like in front of a computer, working, meetings, being like, like I'm a slave. Because I mean, a slave, yeah, you get paid, but you get paid for what? For your time? Okay, I prefer to invest my time into something that really is profitable, that makes me happy. Tomorrow I die, and what I take? A computer with me, or the experience that I had? I got to that point in October. And my wife in the same. We're both creatives right now. So we support each other, like also we got married in November.
Oh wow, congrats, that's very new.
So, like it's a step after step after step.
I can't imagine you in a gray office with this outfit.
Me neither. I like to be elegant, like a good suit makes me feel good.
I want you to tell us about this painting. It's beautiful, colorful, but I'm a little lost in this, so.
Okay, so this painting is called Pueblo Sacrificio. It is part of a trilogy. This trilogy actually speaks about bullfighting, from the reality to the surrealist aspect of it. This is the middle. So this is where you can find the reality and where you can find the magic. Okay? It actually talks about, like a landscape that could be anywhere in an Hispanic place, in a place that they speak Spanish or that they have an Hispanic culture. Because Hispanic culture, is obviously like, Spain, but it's also Latin America. So it could be a place. It's inspired in the bull ring of Acho in Lima, Peru. This is, for example, inspired in the death of a bullfighter that is called Manolete. And this is inspired also, like, like in traditions like Navajo's tradition, that you can find in the desert, like in the north of Mexico and in the south of the United States of America. Personally, I think, like it's a good way to kind of like reflect how, like different parts of the same environment, they believe or they have the same things, So this is more, like a society. This is more, like a village, which is, like a more stable life. This is more, like the traditions, the roots, the ancestors, which are also believing in the same thing in different ways, Because for me, the God is the bull. And it always, goes very together, like the sun, the bull, God. So for me, my divinity is the bull. And I like to, to see kind of, like these animals, living near the humans, not attacking each other, but, like having a duel to create something beautiful, to create something powerful and something that is truth. And it talks about a lot of things, like it talks about, how we are evolving, how we are abandoning things, like from the past. And also one of the most, let's say, crazy things that I wanted to add, and maybe it's not that visible from this angle, but it's a snake, it's how the tradition, get the snakes, which is the temptation. The snake is the temptation for me. It's not coincidence that the bullfighting takes place between the in Europe at least, March, October. What is the moment where animals, they are into their fertility, moment. So sometimes, I like to, let's say, effort into representing things that are linked to these ideas, And what is linked to these ideas is actually like the fertility, the fertility of the woman, the fertility of the bull. This is the cow. So it's kind of like, I like to add, elements that are, let's say, part of what I believe.
What role does community play in your creative life? Do you believe that you need community? Just elaborate on that.
I think people's feedback is important because when you are communicating a message, if there is not reception, it's not a message. A message goes from one part to another. So me, when I paint, I am very, thinking about that what I'm doing is doing it in my way, doing what I want, doing what I really, really need to express without the idea of finding acceptance in people, but always trying to convince their minds that what I'm saying is reasonable or is attractive or is screaming. So it depends. But yes, I think really community, people, it's important. My community is very, I would say, different. Diverse. So I wouldn't even refer to my community as a group of people because they are so different between them. There's people that love bullfighting, and there is people that they are super animalist, They really like animals and they cannot see an animal dying. So what I think put everything together is that I am the link of that. And I think that is very important and I feel very good.
Do conversation with other artists influence your work?
Yes. Speaking with people from your same, in Spain we will say gremio, from the same profession. It really gives you information that is valuable. For example, you can learn about technique, you can learn about where to find, interesting stuff that could be useful. But also, when you are talking with a creative, I think you can kind of do a very interesting exchange, because in that exchange is when you are really thinking that maybe the message of one person actually is, attractive in the way of, it should be amplified. So, for example, I like to talk with bullfighters, okay? I think bullfighting, for me, is an art. And I find a lot of truth and a lot of, reality. And in my opinion, it's like a summary of all the things that you can find in the reality. Like, you can find the life, the death, you can find the glory, the defeat, the hate, the love, everything, all the aspects. So I like to talk with bullfighters, and it really inspires me, because what they are projecting into a performance sometimes cannot be only, reflected, I will say, in a bullfight. But it's a message that deserves to be amplified. So, that mythology, that idea, that magic that you can find, in a bull ring, for example, I'm talking about bullfighting a lot. It's like a wave, you surf the wave. So talking with a bullfighter for me or with a creative, sometimes it's a wave that you take and you surf, and sometimes it's not. So it depends. And sometimes you are the wave.
How do you protect your voice while being part of an art world? I know you are very new. If you are friends with artists and you are in the community of artists, you sell your art, you exchange ideas with other people, do you think you are still protecting your voice? And is there any fear that you might lose your voice in between this chaos?
I like to be me always. I like to always, I mean, I'm not a very rigid person in my ideas. I'm open to change. I'm open to improve. When I say something or I defend something or I find something that should be communicated, I really do it because I really think, that it deserves to be, supported. That angle of perspective about that part of the reality. So, I mean, about bullfighting, I'm not gonna defend bullfighting with a person. I'm gonna justify what I see and trying to offer another scope to see it. I like to debate, but I don't speak about politics, morality. Everybody has its own morality and their own beliefs. I'm nobody to change their mind. But what I like is to maybe generate, a conversation. So this is the kind of notes that, that I write in my notebook that I wanted to put all together. This, for example, says that the bull is the modern god and the lamb that gets sacrificed because of the one, that makes sense and it's good to be sacrificed. I don't know if the translation in English will be actually that accurate, but in Spanish is El toro es el Dios moderno y el cordero que se sacrifica y por el que merece la pena sacrificarse. So it makes sense to sacrifice yourself for him, for the bull.
So I want you to talk more about this painting. What does it mean that this bull is an old bleeding person just on his knees? And also there's one more interesting detail here. The person in ice uniform looks like hanging from the bull's horn. So I find this very fascinating. So I want you kind of give us more information about your painting.
Thank you. This is a painting that is inspired in a place that doesn't exist, but in my mind exists. And it's in the bull ring of Brooklyn. So it is a moment where you can find, the bullfighter with the sword that is not, that doesn't have blood. And he's standing near the bull, and the bull is standing near him. The animal is not sacrificed. The animal is going to survive in this painting. And it's the reason why, he finds, the biggest glory, the bullfighter, because what really means when they don't sacrifice an animal, and it happens in bullfighting, that people maybe don't know, it's basically that the animal was so amazing that they want to keep it. So they want to make babies out of it. So because he's so good animal and he did a great performance, this animal is going to actually be lucky and he's gonna live his whole life reproducing himself. So he's gonna have the best life, let's say.
You have these three women here.
Yes.
The other one is here. And I think this is the same one at the top.
Yeah, this is inspiring my wife. Like a lot of, moments, where I'm bored and we are, talking. So I paint. And yeah, this is moments, that I capture. This I like. This is, for example, one painted that I copied in 2 minutes in a museum in Paris. And this idea that you mentioned, I like to see the bull as an element, to hurt the bad ones, I mean, I can translate what I say here too. So the bullfighting doesn't have physical frontiers. It accepts the death of a man or a bull without caring about his condition or aspect. And here I say, the bullfighting is, let's say, the lubricant for the tolerance and the anti-racism. In here, it's more like an idea that came to my mind, and I said, while a thinker will exist, there wouldn't be an empty society. And these are ideas that later, I put into my paintings.
What do you wish more people understood about the artist's inner life?
Well, I think the most important thing that people should know about what I do is that I do something that is unique, speaking about things that really deserve to be spoken. So I like to always, let's say, highlight everything, that is linked to people that really are in a situation or into something that don't leave anybody indifferent, you know? I like to talk about these things that are, you know, like hidden or that are not that popular, or that if maybe are popular, you can find aspects of it underneath that maybe, you know, like you will never realize before you saw one of my paintings. I'm not a visionary. I'm Jaime Carmona. I am my own canvas, you know, like, so I think people should like pay attention. And I think nowadays in this society, we are missing the attention because our attention is it's always, you know, like close to the technology, close to the virality, close to the content. People is reading less, I think. People is going to museums just to take pictures. I think like even people is traveling to take pictures, like to put it in Instagram. I think like what is, you know, like valuable about being alive is actually, you know, like experience. And if you don't experience, maybe you cannot experience all the time.
Yeah.
I think, you know, you can find valuable information, you know, like by paying attention while you're not experiencing, which is art,
Yeah.
culture, reading, studying, I don't know, science, whatever. People should maybe like pay more attention to what I say.
Do you mean in general what you say or artists say?
What I say. There is a few artists, of course, that amplify also their messages, but they are mostly that. So, I mean, my vision, I think, is going to be valuable. And the vision of others, maybe.
What do you think your art describes? What's your message?
It depends of the canvas. The message is never rigid. The message comes with the intention of communicating something. If I can be, you know, like fully, let's say, to digest all the idea of my painting and get into something that could be the final idea, maybe my painting will be testimony of my experience. Because my experience, I mean, I think is not conventional, honestly. I've been into situations that probably a lot of people haven't been.
How do you think people interpret your art in New York and how people interpret it in Madrid?
Well, I think every, you know, like person is a different interpretation. In New York, what I find is more like the idea of something exotic about my work. They find exotic because, you know, like when you speak about Spain, people know flamenco, people know paella, people know bullfighting. So it's something that, you know, like kind of like is linked to something, you know, like that is the traditions of my country. In Spain, it's more, I would say, like these paintings that I have behind me, for example, they will be, you know, like subject to to be criticized or to be, you know, like supported. Because it's something that happens there, or in Latin America, or in the south of France, for example. But I painted New York before, and people don't see the paintings of New York that I did in the same way here and in Madrid. So it depends. If I capture something from one place, always in that place that I painted that, I think the reaction is going to be more like maybe judging, because I always want to, you know, like reflect things that are, you know, like happening, but hidden.
Do you think you are where you want to be professional-wise and skill-wise? Like, is there skills or is there any area in your paintings that you want to improve?
I sketch a lot, more and more. I take more time now to start a painting. So I think like improving it's always, you know, like I'm very happy to see how I'm evolving and how I'm, you know, like being able to really like do everything I want in the way I want. Sketching is helping me a lot. Before I was, you know, like, okay, I started painting and I started the painting straight. Neither the materials are the same. You know, now I work with oil. Before I was working with acrylic. I was more, you know, like primitive before. You know, I was very attracted by the idea comes, it needs to be, you know, like vomited into the canvas. Now it's a process. I write also about, you know, like the paintings that I do, and what I cannot say in words is really what goes to the canvas. Yeah, improving is very important. I would say that I'm not 100% accomplished.
You mentioned your grandpa was a painter. When you paint, do you think you get closer to him or do you get closer to your ancestors?
My grandfather was one of the most important painters of Spain. But
By
he
the way,
was
who
not.
was he? I don't know.
His name is Antonio Sanchez, but he was not an artistic painter. He was the little boy from a very poor village in the south of Spain who went to Madrid in the 60s to find an opportunity. He was very, very strong, and he started to work a lot as a painter, but not a painter of artistic painting, of canvases, no. Painting of walls.
Oh, okay.
He created one of the biggest companies in the 70s that ended up being the biggest company of the construction, moment, let's say the explosion of the immobiliary market. So he painted all the paint, not him, his company. But he was a very big painter, but not an artistic painter. He was more a functional painter.
Do you think he was artistic? Do you think
Of course.
anyone else in your family has like this creativity?
There is my father also painted, a few uncles paint. Me, I would say that I'm the one that really went to artistic painting. My grandfather, for example, he was super creative. Like he was a person that really his creativity was into colors, not into shapes or, momentums. It was really, about creating a color that could be, him, until the point that, for example, there was a very big and important tower, one of the most iconic towers of Madrid. He created the color on top, and it was like oxide, like a rusty green. The Torre Colón, it was called. But now they changed it. They made it all in glass, and there was a huge movement, because it was a symbol of Madrid. But as always, like we're getting boring in the society. We are eliminating, touches, value. But find that it will be actually like super wonderful for me to put, an image of the tower.
I do believe we don't carry something just by ourselves. I believe certain talents, it's in our ancestry, it's in our line. Just because they didn't have a chance to bring it out, it doesn't mean they weren't talentless. They just didn't have the canvas. Or your grandpa came to Madrid and he basically tried to build a life, which he built. But imagine your grandpa lives in New York now in this era, and he doesn't have to build a company, but someone gives him all the opportunity that here is the studio, create. He could have been painter. So maybe you are the manifestation of your grandpa, that now you have a chance, you do it. I do believe this kind of stuff, that there is someone in your ancestry that you are connecting when you create something. That's why I asked the question.
In the other part of my family, there were, metal, how do you say, the people that treat the iron. Like, for example, they were making knives, they were making, anything related with metal, everything, and that inspires me a lot, because also, there's a lot of magic in this labor, in this work. They used to sing a lot of flamenco with the pin, pin, pin. It was making the rhythm, pa, pa, pa. And there was a magic. And there is a flamenco type that comes actually from this idea, from this rhythm, and it's called martinete. And also in my family, before we had ancestors were bullfighters 3 generations ago. They were bullfighters. We've been a lot in contact with the world of the horses, I'm very, very, very Iberic, like the jamón.
Do you want to go to art school?
I thought about that, but one of my collectors gave me a very, very nice perspective. And he told me that if I go to an art school, maybe I will lose my touch, because I will maybe, understand the things. I will know how to get to any point, and it wouldn't be that fun, neither that intuitive, as we mentioned before. I wanted to go to art school, but now if I had to choose, I will not go to art school. I will go maybe to, I don't know, if I had to study something else, maybe I will learn how to, I don't know, sail better, how to, skills that could be, useful for the experience.
But is there a medium you want to experiment beside canvases?
Well, I think, you know, like at some point in my life, I will be very attracted by doing frescoes. You know frescoes?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's complex because apparently, like, you need to work when the material is kind of wet, add the powder, let it dry, and later it's complex to correct because you have to break it. I mean, at some point, maybe I would love to do a fresco like Diego Rivera or like Miguel Angel, you know, Michelangelo. Now I'm in another. What I want to do is bigger canvases, like super big, and very small.
Well, that's the end of our interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I felt so good. I love what you do. I think you are an amazing, you know, like interviewer. Maybe this is the beginning of something very good, this project that you have, and you will get far. I can tell you that.
Fingers crossed.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.